Chapter 63. Lambert's blue eyes are the cold of the deepest ice as he steps towards me with barely contained fury. I take my spear out and twirl it casually. We will come to blows, but I wouldn't mind talking a bit before that. Time is on my side in this case. Without his leadership, his rabble will collapse, while my side has every advantage, including numbers now. As he stops at a respectable distance, I consider that I have not interacted that much with Lambert. I know why now. He was the enforcer while I was the errand girl. In a way, it is a mercy that we did not meet so often. His perverted drive to taint and destroy everything a person has and owns before killing them is the mark of a sick mind, a deviant, whose sole entertainment is ruin. I use the silence to study him as he studies me. Arrogance. This is what he embodies. His posture is relaxed and confident. His handsome face is twisted by scorn and disdain. My enslavement and death are not even a game to him. They are a chore. Something he will inflict in passing before returning to more civilized lands. He only wears one weapon, a luxurious fencing sword in a scabbard by his left flank. His hands are gloved with white, and his spotless beige ensemble fits comfortably on athletic shoulders. By comparison, I am dirtier than a farmhand after a slaughter. I do not mind. Those are the marks of who we are. I suppose Lambert expected me to threaten, beg, or negotiate. My uncaring silence has worn his patience thin, and he is the first to talk. We meet again, peasant girl. I have been sent to retrieve you so that you may be judged for your many crimes. You can come peacefully, and I will be mostly gentle. Or you can resist, and I will remove your legs and arms and drag you back to New Orleans in a child coffin. I pretend to consider it for a moment. Such a generous offer. Are you convinced you are in a position to make it? Lady Moore gave me leave to drag you back the way I see fit. You are a bit slow, Lambert. I am questioning your competence. Do you really think you can capture me? You and what are me? I don't need mortals, you imbecile. He hisses, especially not frontier dogs. Why bring them then? I snap back, don't reply, I know why. You wanted to punish me for dragging you to this mudhole, am I right? Lambert tightens his fists, then relaxes, still in control. You think yourself victorious, as expected from someone who lacks vision. None of your pathetic accomplishments matter. After we are done with you, you will beg me to come help you burn this place down. You are delusional. You really do not understand the situation you are in, he scoffs. The kill order on your person is still valid, and even if you were to miraculously escape this place, the night squad on your tail will not falter. I made sure they knew everything. You have run out of options. Of course they are coming, I called them here. I did not, I called Jimena, but as long as she's here I will be fine. You what? You are insane. If you think Anatole will show you mercy. Of course not, I say dismissively, but I do count on him respecting the accords. You see, there is a way around the kill order. I have his attention now. Every minute spent talking brings his forces closer to destruction. He may fall back just to avoid being surrounded by hostiles. I do wish to kill him, but I also wish to take little risks. I am so close to safety, to recognition. In his great wisdom, Constantine included an amendment to the law. City masters are expected to be the target of many a machination, and to guarantee that the speaker is not dragged into local conflicts, a night squad cannot be sent to slay one. They must be brought before the speaker for judgment. You cannot be serious. I received recognition from House Rosenthal, the local branch of the clan. A copy was sent to Boston. It is done, Lambert. I am entering society properly this time, and you cannot stop it. Burning the city to the ground will not help, threatening me will not help. Even that devious and dishonorable blonde cur will not raise a hand to me unless he wants to publicly break his oath to the knights. You come as the game is already over, Lambert. I will go to Boston and claim my due. I have made it. After 30 years as a slave, pariah and fugitive, I have finally made it. No, you have not, he snarls. I will take you back this very night, and you will be our slave forever. No one mocks us and lives free. Your army has failed, your machinations have failed, all at the hand of a peasant girl. And now you threaten me with violence? I am unimpressed. We shall see, peasant girl, we shall see. The night is still young and there is much I will show you. Lambert draws and charges. I push him back with a quick jab and we start circling each other. I probe his defenses and find them formidable. Even my fastest attacks are lazily deflected by the tip of his blade. When he attacks, he tries to bat the spear away, but quick footwork and bringing the spear back allows me to keep my distance. Thank you, Nami. I cannot imagine how hard it would be to face him without your training. Lambert is clearly a master fencer, and only my experience facing superior foes lets me fight him without already collecting wounds. His speed is only the same as mine, but his strength and technique are far above. Patient hunter. I will take my time. He looks down upon me. His overconfidence will give me an opening. We move around the street. He moves in a line while I move in a circle, mostly to counter him. We go faster now that we are used to each other's style. Then he stops and crouches. Dodge to the side. In an instant, he disappears, and a fiery line ravages my left cheek. Better. Now you will hold your tongue. Silvery runes glow on his blade. An enchanted weapon, of course. The unfamiliar feeling of cold air on my teeth almost eclipses the pain. Lambert blinks and inspects his left flank, where I left a little surprise. 1 throwing knife used, 2 to go. The Lancaster grunts and removes my weapon from his flank. Black blood seeps on his beige overcoat. Merit's runes glow red. That has to sting a bit. You will pay for your insolence. I return a lopsided smile and we resume our fight. Lambert changes his style. He uses his strength more and tries to corner me recklessly. His blade bites into my left arm guard, but the blow is mostly stopped. The pain is still manageable. I retaliate by using more sweeps and exploiting his opening. Eventually, he tries to walk on my spear as I extend it. I dive low and catch him in the tibia with a horizontal swing that smashes him into a boarded window. He stands up with a snarl before I can capitalize on my victory, however, but a new black stain mars his trousers. He redoubles his efforts. I am on the back foot and retreat as his attacks become ever more aggressive. He maneuvers me into an alley. I jump back then up, bouncing from wall to wall until I am on the roof to avoid being trapped in close quarters. I am patient. I cannot match him in strength. I just need to hold on and then punish. Ever tire of running? He asks with an arrogant voice. I keep my distance. I am a patient hunter. I do not let my rage overcome me. You think that being part of vampire society will change your life. It will not. You are not ostracized because you are unlucky. You are ostracized because you are a monster made on a whim by an ancient horror. All of your master's spawns are sick puppies, and you are no exception. The only thing that saved you from immediate execution is that you were not picked for intimidation but for entertainment. I maneuver around a chimney. Lambert just jumps on it and lunges at me. The shock of our weapons sends me to slide over the roof. I twist to the side to avoid a downward swing. We crash through the roof into a cluttered shop filled with cooking and gardening tools. I weave my way around stoves and piles of pans, avoiding large strikes that shatter furniture and send metal flying. I almost lose my balance on an errant pot. Lambert's eyes narrow. He lunges. I kick the guilty pot and it shatters on his chest, enough to deflect. The sword still bites into my upper right arm. Lambert crashes into me. I manage to put my foot on his sternum and push with all my strength. He takes off and his back smacks against a support beam. I throw my second knife. Somehow, Lambert twists midair and it only draws a bloody line across his temple. Lambert lands lightly and gingerly touches his now bisected ear. He does not show anger, and this worries me more than the blood slowly dripping from my dress. I move my tongue around my mouth and find out that the first wound is mostly closed and that I can speak. I have nothing to say. He is just spouting nonsense. He tries to destabilize me. I'm a patient. I am patient. And strong. He is just bluffing. That Russian mujik is only alive because he is the Vishyazya's attack dog, kept on a tight leash by oaths and agreements. There is nothing for you in this world you wish to join. You will forever be a pariah, barely tolerated or hunted outright. Anatole is not an outlier. He is the norm. I parry the next lunge and counterattack. Lambert grabs the shaft and uses it to throw me through the front door. I climb to my feet to face him. The enforcer steps out of the ruin of the shop's entrance. He casually inspects the small wound I inflicted on his hand as he threw me. He is supremely unconcerned, and his eyes are so cold. I will remember each of your words and slights against me. I will have you repent for your insolence. 1 hour of agony for every second of annoyance you dared inflict on your betters. 1 limb for every wound. I will skin you, I will break your every bone, I will cut your tongue and cauterize the wound every night. I will have burly sailors line up to ravage you for 5 pennies a shot. You may even like it. That twit. Lambert lunges once more, sliding under my guard. I twist into his attack and hit him with my shoulder. I might as well have hit the train. His hand reaches for my throat. I drop the spear and try to claw him. He drops his sword and captures my wrists, pushes me away without releasing his hold and drags me back. Light in my vision. Pain. I spit blood. No time. I dive before he can kick me in the face again and bite his unarmored sleeve. I barely pierce the skin before he releases me. I block a punch with an arm guard, but still fly into the air. I land heavily against a wall. Nose bleeding. Mouth bleeding. Dizzy. I shake my head and push myself back. Use the wall to get back up. Need to be quicker. Lambert does not use the opportunity granted to him. He is still looking down on me, not that I can really blame him. Yes, little peasant girl, get back up. The trip here was long and tedious and I do need to unwind. Tell me, when you left us, did you go back home? Did you sate your thirst on your family or did they just throw you out like the beast you were? Didn't. I wonder if your father knew his precious daughter had died bleeding in some damp cellar, only to be replaced by you? Did he think of you in his last moments? Did he know the soulless monster desecrating her body was still walking around, whoring herself out to sweaty miners? Did you try to lie to him? Did you seek comfort? How long did it take for him to throw you out, you filthy scamp? How long did it take for him to discover the truth about what you had become? Not long. Not long at all, in fact. We never discussed soul, but he could tell I had been changed. That I was different. I told him I died. I did. I told him I did not know if I was the same girl. I remember now. How silly. I tortured myself, wondering if I had betrayed his trust, but I did not. I told him everything. This question was never for me to answer, it was for him. And he did. I was feeling guilty while Papa had answered decades before I even asked myself if I were still me. Suddenly and with perfect clarity, I remember his words. They ring in my ears as clearly as the night he said them, after I walked home, free, for the first time in my second life. I remember that you told me you were not my Ariane, but you were wrong. You still carry the same spirit, the same aspirations, and God forgive me, the same love for unladylike things that go boom. Yes. You think that being human is what made you my daughter. It is not. Being you is what made you my daughter. You have always changed and grown, this particular change is just the latest and the most dire. Do not despair and do not let go of your past and our time together, yes? Yes. Yes. I am me. I am always me. Not just a monster, not just a person, not just my father's child, and not just a vampire. I am all of it, and more. I am me. Ariane of the Nerari, previously Ariane Beatrice Lucille Raynaud, daughter of Hercule Raynaud and Diana Anjou, scion of the first. Friend to Imena, Nashoba, Isaac, Loth, Merritt and others. Protector of Marquette. And royally pissed. I parry Lambert's lunge before the blade digs into my heart. It slides along the armor, digging a furrow in my flesh. I grab the hilt and drag the sword forward until it digs deep into the wood. Gouge the talon. I twist and slice, catching Lambert's arm and cleaving him to the bone. He hisses in pain. I am not done. I rush him. I have a knife and he has nothing, the sword stuck in the thick log behind me. He blocks and dodges but not enough. His suit is half black with blood. Subjugate and devour. Lambert winces and grabs something from his chest. My next strike is deflected by a shield. Dodge. I dive under a claw and block a foot. I am propelled back and when I look up, Lambert is snapping something around his left hand. Ah! I should have expected that, to be fair. Lambert is a bloody midge. I will admit that your stupid savagery gives you some measure of resilience. I suppose I will have to make some effort to take you down, after all. Not good. I dive to the side and pick up my spear. I rush forward. I had no idea he could cast. I don't even know how good he is. This will be a close one. I need to finish this quickly. I move faster than ever. Bind. Massive red manacles emerge from the gauntlet. They hiss and slither to me like snakes. My claws glow blue. I will only be able to deflect such a strong spell once before running out of energy. It matters not. I only need one try. I slap the spell away. Lambert's face whitens in surprise. Close. Lunge. Shield. Pierce. The spear tip glows with Sivea's gift. The Court of Blue's expertise clashes with Lancaster's spellcraft. The spear tip digs through my foe's chest like a hot knife through butter. I lift his body and slam it into the ground, pin him like an insect. Yes. Yes. No. Hold on, something is. Bind, a voice coughs. I dodge, but the angry lynx track me, find me. They snake around my arms and pull me to the ground. So heavy. Hurts. Everything hurts. Lambert grabs the shaft and pulls the blade from his bleeding lung. He spits blood and slowly gets back up. Impossible. This is impossible. No vampire can stand after losing their heart. The very idea is ridiculous. Our heart is. Our heart. How? I cannot be. Never thought. He coughs bloody foam on his lips. You'd push me so far. Few know this. He adds with a smirk as he grabs the spear's shaft. Shatter. The lightly enchanted pole breaks in his fingers. I don't understand. Lambert painfully stands back up with an evil grin on his face. The chain constricts me, extending from his glove to my chest. The links grate painfully against my bones and the wound on my left flank. Without the Ekon's power, I would be screaming. None of your efforts matter. You are out of tricks now, and in the end you fall, alone. I am never alone. You. Lambert screams as he dodges a silver quarrel. His focus breaks and the chains break and fade. Your servants will not save you. I will admit the timing was impeccable, but this isn't what I was referring to. He is right, I am out of tricks. I only have my ace left. I take the silver cylinder on my chest, pop its cap open and down the contents. Cheers. I despise this world. I despise it and those in it. It is drab and dull. They are uninspired simpletons. I only wish to go back, and so I dedicate my intellect to solving the one issue that bars our way, how to open a path back when the barrier on this side is so dense. I will succeed, I must. My eyes rest on the mountain of notes on my borrowed workshop. I need a break. My fiancé is up there, playing host and gallivanting. I do not know how he does it, but I approve so much. The Court of Blue is as rife with intrigue as the Court of Summer. I am glad I will rely on one so keen and witty, so that I may dedicate myself to my research. It helps that he's such a competent lover. On a separate table, lies a side project. Sinead gave her his blood as a sign of trust and as a favor. The receptacle's workings need to be maintained so that the blood is correctly protected. She is different. As drab as the others, to be sure, but at least there's a spark there, a drive. Perhaps I have been too arrogant in my dealings with her. It is not because she is beneath my station that I may not show esteem and gratitude. Virtue stems not from the others but from ourselves. I step closer. I will return this artifact, with a gift. Let it not be said that Sivea of the Court of Blue is ungrateful. Let it not be said that she does not support her spouse's projects, no matter how Boorish they may be. I carefully unscrew the top and prick my finger. A single drop charged with my immortal essence slides into it, mixing with the gift of summer. The blood of a royal couple, given freely and with our blessing. May she one day realize its value, and may her heart fill with joy. Thoughts to Patarta. It burns. Always before, a struggle, always before, not enough, always before, thirsty. Too much, it is too much. The vitality and power carry me like a torrent, a tidal wave. They are everywhere and they do not stop, and there is always more. I am exploding but inside, and exploding again and again and again. The power bursts into my bones, my ligaments, my organs, everywhere. They force themselves into me and then they become me, and more comes and becomes me as well. It doesn't stop. There is more me, more of my essence, mine. More. There is as much power as in my master's blood, but it doesn't let me stop, it doesn't let me breathe. I should be the size of a barn, and yet it manages to push itself into my tiny frame, and there is still more. From my heart, I feel something pulsate once and find an echo somewhere above. It pulses again and again as each wave of power burrows itself into my essence and becomes mine. My wounds are long closed. My exhaustion was washed away in the first instant. Lambert is standing here, moving like a slug with horror on his face, and I could snap his neck, but I cannot because I cannot move. I can only endure as the wave washes through me and in me, only to be replaced by another. The pulses come faster now, and I can feel it. My essence echoes from my heart to the rest of my body. My essence. I can feel my essence, for the first time ever. It is mine and mine only, the touch of the Watcher. My inhuman soul. My aura flares and expands with unprecedented might. I am a master. The power stops because it has pushed into me as much as it could, carrying me over the edge. I feel raw and tender, but now the power courses through my veins, eager to be used. It purrs like a great cat. So much energy. I can do anything. Ha 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 ha. I extend a hand to Lambert's face. A rune appears in the air, one I saw in the dream when Nirari killed Wolfgang and the army arrayed against him. A red branch emerges from it and crashes through a hastily erected shield. Lambert screams as his arm is mummified in an instant. His blood crawls back to me, a droplet in an ocean. I am doing magic. How can I not? I am a goddess. Why is that cockroach still alive? Power expands in a bubble and I see his own essence centered around his heart, which is on the wrong side of his chest. Is that how he escaped death? A circus trick? Laughable. It won't help him now. He runs. No, he limps away. I already hurt him so much. I lift a hand and the spearhead jumps to it, unbidden. I do not need to run. Heartseeker. The spearhead blasts away and pierces through the enforcer's chest, to walls and into a smithy with an ear-shattering clang. So easy. Prey is on the ground, unmoving. I reach once more and the body is dragged towards me, but slower. The power is going out. Why? Lambert's heartless form is before me. I kneel and grab him by the collar. Ignoring his panicked eyes, I push his head back to uncover a white neck. I bite down. I know the taste should be exquisite, but my senses are dulled. There is so much that happened. The power in me is mostly petered out. The rest is seeping into my heart as fast as it can welcome it, completing the transition. I feel so wrung out. Beyond tired. A pair of solid arms pick me up as I collapse. I see the softest smiles on John's hideous face. I help you now. I am safe. I close my eyes and surrender to the darkness. Chapter 64 The Dining Room. Achilles is trying to look serious with his freshly grown adolescent beard. Papa's eyes are full of mirth and my Aunt Catherine's are full of pride. Her husband Roger smiles peacefully as he eyes the cake with a hint of gluttony. It is so big and white and red. Covered in strawberries. Go on, mon ange, Blow the candles. I take a deep breath in and blow. So many little lights I need to extinguish. It takes a long time for every last one of them to die down, but soon, I am finally done. Time to get a slice. I stab and look up through the darkness. A desiccated man stares back with blind eyes set deep into his skull. Only parchment-like yellowed skin clings to it, not even a tuft of hair remains on his ancient scalp. What? Took you long enough. The mummified corpse falls on the rotten table with nary a sound, joining the others there. I drop the knife. It stays upright, dug deeply into a woman's sternum. She has blonde hair and a face I know all too well. Deep tear tracks mark her cheeks. Her warm blood rolls on the table and drips on my lap. The corpses are sitting back up and they applaud, but I can only hear one person clapping. The scene disappears like sand in the wind, and we stand at the edge of my mental fortress. My sire looks like a prince gone slumming. He wears a dark suit and white shirt with the top buttons opened. His dark curls hang loosely, making him almost relaxed. His smile is just on the edge of cynical with still a hint of pride. I wanted to be the first to congratulate you on joining the ranks of masters. I hope you will indulge me and forgive my interruption of whatever this was. It is, after all, the last time I can freely visit. What do you want? I growl. No need to be adversarial, princess of the blood. As I said, I am only here to salute a great accomplishment. At first, you were only an amusement, and now you have grown into a true princess. You have achieved much in a relatively short amount of time, and more importantly, you have done so in a pleasing way. Your enemies crushed, your allies loyal, and your debts fulfilled. You are worthy of being my scion. You do realize that your compliments mean little to me. You played no part in my success. If anything, I thrived despite you. Yes, as you should. Devours are self-made, at least the three of you that still survive. We survivors are few, but we are quite formidable. I will leave you now. You can expect your coming-of-age gift within a month. Do try not to die. He steps back and disappears. The thorny roots which had started to slither towards him pull back like disappointed cats. He said it was the last time he could come here freely. That means from now on the fortress is entirely mine. Anybody who dares disturb me will, knock. With a step, I reach the border and the thick walls of sharp branches slide aside to reveal a parading figure in lean armor made of the white and blue of a summer sky. He struts in like a diva in an art gallery, annoyingly tall and annoyingly shiny. The Lycian prince lazily fixes his golden hair with an artist's hand. The grass shimmers beneath his feet and takes on a different quality. Well done, Purport, well done indeed. I am so delighted with your progress. A few more decades and you will be more than marginally useful. Sinead, what are you doing here? Before he can reply, another form joins him. Sevilla is radiant in her Lycian form. In shades of pearl white and ocean blue, she is beautiful and subdued. Her face is even more elfin and ethereal, almost too alien. When she moves, her steps are so light that not a blade of grass is disturbed, and only the barest hints of movements are revealed by her azure-flowing robes. I address her immediately. Lady Sevilla, thank you for your gift. It was unexpected. There is a long pause when both Sinead and I wait to see if she will reply. Eventually, she averts her head in a gesture that changes her entire demeanor from gracefully distant to plain bashful. Her voice has an ethereal quality as if heard through some echoing cave. You are welcome, vampire. Then she turns around and leaves. Sinead watches her as she disappears, looking thoughtful. Then he turns back and offers me another dazzling smile. So, you have broken your chains. You are your own woman, vampire, whatever. Think what lofty heights we will reach together. Can you join us now, or are you busy? There is the small issue of the kill on sight order on my head and one of the most powerful clans on the planet trying to enslave me. PFFFT. Trifling matters. Wait until you have to unweave 3 plots against your life every month, then things get interesting. That court of yours sounds like a real treasure. Why, I believe I would have chosen exile voluntarily. and thus you show your naivete puppet. The weak and unaligned are always taken care of, lest they become problematic later. But enough, I have not come to dispense lessons, but to see whether or not you had squandered our gift. So, tell me, what did you use it for beside finally cutting the eldritch umbilical cord? I killed an enforcer sent after me by a rival clan. Only one? Disappointing. Hey. Do it then you can criticize. HRM. If I had known consuming your blood would allow me to go over the edge. Tut tut puppet, I will hear no recriminations or ifs, especially because you had ample opportunities to taste my fluids and didn't. Get out. I will wait for a month or so then make contact again. No sunbathing while I'm gone. Ta-ta. The tall armored figure saunters away, leaving behind imprints of vivid green that do not fade. I stare at the wall for a moment and realize that my supposed fortress has seen more use as a receiving room than an actual bloody keep. Should I try to think up a nice gazebo, where we would all come and sit for tea? I am speechless. With one last sigh, I decide to return to my bedroom. I miss Papa and Dalton tonight. I will look at their copied portraits and reminisce for a while. It will do me good. I wake up in my bed and stare in alarm. Something is wrong. A crimson ray pierces through the room's heavy curtains and basks a spot in the wall in an ominous light. It is death, death and agony. Terror grips my heart and I stand up to flee. Or at least, I try to. I feel so weak. My limbs are heavy and my attempted jump turns into a tumble. I slip from the bed and crash awkwardly on the floor. I feel feverish and weakened. With a supreme effort, I manage to climb back up to my feet and stare back. The ray is still here, slowly traveling up. Dread seizes me and constricts my chest. All my instincts scream of danger. I walk slowly to the fireplace and press a button on the side. The secret passage to my safe room opens quietly. I do not take it. Something strange is going on. I need to understand. These instincts I feel are most queer and this ray of supposed doom is quite meet for a deathly threat. I watch and resist the urge to cower. It slides up and up, then disappears, and with it, my weakness. In one instant, I go from feverish and weak to perfectly alert, as usual. Understanding makes me widen my eyes. The sun. I saw sunshine. I was awake before dusk. I truly am a master. This was not an hallucination. Then, I close my eyes and relax. I feel it within myself. My essence. It is centered in my chest and expands outwards in veins and networks to my extremities. The channels are thin for now but they should grow, in time. I try to hide my aura like Nami showed me, and though my control is already smoother, I have more difficulties. My aura flares and drops randomly. I am not too worried. I remember Isaac mentioning something similar. It will take at least a week before everything settles back to normal. And now, for the moment of truth. Lord Nirari is a twit. I wait with bated breath, which isn't too surprising considering I do not breathe to begin with. Nothing. Lord Nirari is a twit I say. He ha? Twit. Ha 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 ha. I can badmouth him. I can say bad things and I don't care. This is fantastic. He is a twit and he smells bad. And he has poor taste in clothes. Those are lies. I am merely testing the limits of my newfound freedom. He can go and greet the sun. Ha 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 ha. Eep. I jump in surprise when somebody knocks on the door. Ahem. Come in. Merritt's tired face greets me. She stares at me with no small level of annoyance. Are you having fun? I have no idea what you may be referring to. She rolls her eyes, something that Ollie has been doing a lot recently and that I associate in her with exhaustion. I got it easy, going to bed. She must have spent a lot of energy handling the aftermath of yesterday's events. So, how are things? I asked lightly. A lot happened while you were having your beauty sleep. Wallace's men went after the stragglers for most of the day and made sure they couldn't regroup. They think we are safe now, especially with Sullivan dead. Most of the bodies have been cleared and there will be a service on Sunday for our own. We lost 37 people all included and probably another 4 more before tonight. The rest should recover though we still have more than 50 wounded. The Home Guard lost 6, including Penelope. Annabelle got 2 fingers shot off. Harrigan says your security lost 3 but many are wounded. The citizens lost 7, including Mr. Schrödinger. He died covering his wife's retreat. I wince. I care so little for mortal lives, usually, that it feels strange when I do. Merit is not done. The militia found more than $1,000 in gold in their command tent. The council had an emergency meeting and decided that they would be used to repair the town and compensate the families of the victims. Marquette is still a mess and the barricades mostly stand. I expect it will take 3 days for things to return to normal. I understand. Merit shows signs that she has something else on her mind, so I wait. She seems rebellious for some reason. Where did you disappear to? I was looking for you the whole night. I killed a vampire attacking us in single combat and I collapsed. All her built-up aggression melts in an instant. I'm sorry, I had no idea. It must have been hard. I remember scraping the wall behind me to climb back up, covered in wounds and with a broken nose. Yes. Yes, it was. Yeah, sorry. And thanks. So, I got to ask. Are you leaving? Ah, so that is how it is. We have already discussed it. I am leaving, this very night. Could you not wait until everything is settled? Knights are going to come looking for me sooner rather than later. I have to go, Merit, we already had this discussion. Well, I guess. And for one moment, she is the young mage I met fighting Ascendancy. Despite all her experience, Merit is still the same emotive woman who had stood up and faced a night squad by my side, 3 days after meeting me. I will miss you too. What? She sputters, yes I mean. Arg. Let's just go downstairs. There is still something I need you to solve. I nod and before leaving, grab the backpack I prepared. Everything else is already prepared for shipping. The dream is mostly silent, which surprises me. Battle has a way to make people seek the purest expression of life, and little says life like mindless sex. I make my way down to the workshop where only Merit's family's belongings remain. She is standing next to an anvil. I am surprised to see that a heavy piece is splintered in its middle. What is this? She wordlessly points down and I walk around the smithing implement to see what caused it to break in such a way. Oh. That would be the head of my spear. It's still intact too. Surveyor does good work. Would you mind removing it? Teams of men tried and failed, and Mr. Sully wants it back. Not at all. I brace against the solid piece of iron and pull the blade out with a shriek of tortured metal. I inspect the tip. It doesn't look damaged. I'm impressed. Merit shakes her head and whispers vampires. Under her breath. I chuckle and she leads me back up, towards the main room. As she opens it, I hear a plethora of heartbeats and soon it is too late to flee. This is where the revelers were waiting. A legion of people lines the room wall to wall. They remain silent until I step in. Even the mayor is here. He applauds first, then everyone joins him to create a thundering clamor that shakes the building. I feel strangely emotional. Somebody hugs me, one of the girls who had joined the Home Guard. Annabelle. Before she can release me, another joins her, then another. Meanwhile, drinks and food are distributed around as person after person wishes me goodbye. I was planning to leave unnoticed. One could argue that Sullivan came here because of me, that the army attacked us because I was there. On the other hand, I did a lot for the city and I stayed when it mattered. I followed the spirit of Eneru, to rule justly. This is the conclusion of 20 years of reign. I feel decidedly strange, and it is not because of my flaring aura. I feel sad. I am leaving Marquette for good. For the past 3 years, this moment could not come any faster. Only now, at the moment of my departure, do I realize all the good things I will have to leave behind, and the best thing of all is the people. How I love to hate them. Those frontier men and women. Stubborn and filled with superstitions, Judgmental and temperamental they are, but under that, there was a kind and courageous heart. They came through when it mattered the most, when others would have panicked and fled. I make my way through the crowd and greet Oscar, my bartender, Solomon the rescue, the Creek brothers and the other members of the odd squad, Kitty and the girls, Irma and some of the families. Regulars who come every week and citizens who never stepped in here before, all come and pay their homage. Little by little I start to accumulate gifts as well. Harrigan leaves me one of his lucky knives, which has a bat skull as a pommel. Holly and Lynn give me adorable drawings of me beating the ever-loving hell out of wolves and the judge. They even drew the fangs. I get trinkets, carvings and enough cutlery and tankards to start another inn. All of it goes into a giant coffer that I will have to ship as well. It takes me a solid 2 hours to run out of faces to greet. By then, each farewell is made longer by my interlocutor's advanced state of inebriety, and I have to extricate myself from more passionate declarations than I had to face in the past 5 years combined. I step outside to face the hardest farewell yet. I cannot bring anyone with me as I will technically be in custody, and every aspect of my travel, including nourishment and security, will be in the hands of the night. John. The giant's eyes widen completely and the bow of his horrendous mouth curves upward until Wah-ha-ha-ha. His bawling sounds like a group of men blowing a pierced hornpipe. Before I can try to comfort him, he lifts me in his arms. Oh, there goes my spine. That would have killed a mortal for sure. I awkwardly pat his shoulder while he turns the front of my dress into his personal handkerchief. Don't worry, we will meet again. This is just goodbye. It takes a long time before he lets go, and when he does, he looks lost. I recognize in me an emotion that I almost never feel while awake. Guilt. The kettle will be sent to Charleston as part of another agreement, but John is different. He is not kettle, nor supplicant nor vessel. He is just a man who offered me his loyalty. And now I leave him behind. I need you to stay here and protect Merritt. She is strong, but she cannot notice everything like you do. You stay here and watch her back. I'm counting on you. The simpleton nods and swallows his cries, which only makes his face even more tragic as tears trail down his ruddy cheeks. I am not too worried. Merritt can certainly use a bodyguard. Speaking of the red-headed devil. So, this is goodbye. I nod. It is. I must say, 2 years ago I would never have thought. But then. God, I'm making a mess of things, ain't I? I wince. Sorry. Still can't believe I'm taking over a large part of town on behalf of a friend who also happens to be an immortal creature from legends. I had to run for so long to stay away from the Pike family and protect the kids. I was ready to die in exile, so to speak. Is this all real, or am I dying somewhere of fever? If you are, stop dreaming of me facing mortal perils so often, pretty please. Heh? Ah, enough of this. You take care, and if those nights cause you problems, I'll come and kick their collective asses. Stay alive and come and visit sometimes. Thanks, Merritt. Be careful and write often. Goodbye. I grab my backpack and with one last wave, I ride into the night. Then I stop behind a barn because John drooled all over my dress and I need to get changed. Metta's hooves join the sounds of the night in a rhythmical pattern. Beasts hunt, mate and die in a background of creaking wood and whispering wind. The scent of sap and dust is almost overwhelming. The road leads us on top of a small hill. The land here is flat, with the odd copse of trees to bring some measure of variety to the otherwise uniform landscape. I am nervous. This is it. A campfire shines clear in my sight, surrounded by 3 armored wagons that an army would not dare assault. A small beacon has been lit, guiding me to them. Jimena is here, but she is not alone. This is the moment of truth. For the first time since my escape, I will have to surrender my freedom to a higher authority and hope that they respect their own oaths. Normally I would never take such an inane risk, but this is the best chance I am going to get. Mattis presses forward. Next to the fire, I spot 2 figures in the grey lamellar armor of the knights. Whoever else is there has decided to hide. I take one last deep breath to keep my composure and discipline my aura. Two sets of eyes track me as I dismount at the edge of the circle. I stop when I face them. Jimena is as dignified as ever, except for the wide smile that widens further when she takes in my new essence. Anatole, on the contrary, looks like he swallowed a bucket of lemons. His hand never strays from the princely blade by his side. I see you have come to face your judgment. I was afraid you would run once more. With his blonde hair, blue eyes and handsome face, Anatole still looks like the Prince Charming from fairy tales. The contrast with Jimena's square jaw and tomboyish look is striking. The bombastic prick and the pragmatic friend. The judgmental hypocrite who invokes the rules and the honorable knight who follows them, in letter and in spirit. I simply raise an eyebrow while Jimena adds in a slightly condescending voice. Should I read the warrant, Captain? The disrespect is barely veiled. Anatole glowers as he complies. His voice is coldly professional with a hint of scorn. His hands are tied, he knows it, and he knows we all know it. The powerlessness and rage in his posture are delicious, and I find myself relaxing and enjoying the present humiliation. You stand accused of roguish behavior and are ordered to stand trial before a jury of your peers and the speaker. We will now take you into custody. You have a right to remain silent, you have a right to safety, and reasonable nourishment. You have a duty to uphold our instructions during your transfer. You have a duty to surrender any and all mundane and magical tools and weapons you may have, with no limitation. You may not keep company of any sort. Including Metis? I ask with surprise. Of any sort. He replies with annoyance, your transportation will be assured by my squad, and so will your safety. Are you willing to comply? He looks hopeful for a moment. I notice Jimena's serene smile and her imperceptible nod. She is confident. I will comply, yes. I turn to Metis and release her from her harness. Once she is fully free, I turn to pat her, but she surprises me yet again. The proud nightmare places her head on my shoulder. I am moved, and reach to caress her chin. As I approach she moves back, blows air into my face and gallops away with a neigh that sounds suspiciously close to a laugh. I see you have properly bonded, Jimena comments dryly. Anatole remains mercifully silent, focused as he is on my gear. I approach and take out the spearhead, still not repaired, a silver pistol, 3 throwing knives and a dagger which I leave on the harness. Are you not a bit under-equipped? Asks Jimena with a knowing smile. I know, I reply, I left my rifle and a few other things. I figured I would be traveling light. Right. Are you not forgetting something? Asks Anatole with impatience. I think for a moment. Am I? Whatever tool you use to avoid detection. Ah, yes. I take out my earrings. They join the pile of things that have helped me survive so far. Isha, please come and verify that she is not hiding anything. As Anatole speaks, a secure door clanks open on the side of a carriage and the veiled female knight who survived Suarez's displeasure unscathed steps down, soon followed by the 2 other fighters. Her eyes are so dark they look like pits, and with her perfectly controlled expression and aura, I find myself unable to read her. She picks Nashoba's gifts with a subdued grace and inspects them carefully. The carved amber glints under the firelight. She nods. Does she have anything else on her? Anatole asks as the rest of his squad exits the carriage. The woman closes her eyes and faces me. I feel the softest touch of power. Not exactly intrusive but annoying, nonetheless. No. Silence. Can we go now, or do you want me to frisk her too? Asks Jimena. With sudden clarity, I understand the game. Jimena stands with her back to me in a deceptively calm appearance, clearly showing where her allegiance stands. Anatole faces me, which leaves his side open to Jimena. His stance is tense and his face furious, which I would be as well if a subordinate humiliated me so before both his squad and an outsider. Finally, the 3 remaining members of his squad sit on the sideline, showing neutrality and by extension, a lack of support to their leader. The largest man of the squad is searching the hills for hostiles, probably. He is not a handsome man, and his shaved scalp makes him intimidating. I see that he found another shield and axe. The sneaky one with the knives leans leisurely against the carriage, and when our eyes meet, he winks. He is beautiful, with lush black hair and almond eyes, so I suppose others may swoon. I have seen Sinead at work though, and I am partially immune to roguish charm. Too much trouble. The woman is the strangest of the bunch. She is shorter than me and quite thin, and she carries herself demurely. Her only obvious weapon is a staff that I recognize as an old-fashioned focus. Mages these days much prefer gauntlets as they are small, effective and more importantly, innocuous. Carrying a magical staff around in a country that burnt witches to the stake only a century ago is not conducive to discretion. With one last murderous glance, Anatole relents. Good, take her inside, we leave as soon as we are ready. I'll do it. Jimena answers immediately. Anatole stares coldly but says nothing as I follow my friend. I understand. Anatole brought his whole squad to arrest me and escort me back, and they were waiting not in ambush, but at the very least fully equipped. I know that night squads are valuable resources, and he still decided to come with everyone to complete a task that Jimena could have done alone without issue. He still wants me dead. Thank the Watcher for Jimena's presence. The inside of the carriage is surprisingly spacious. Furniture in ash and white velvet gives the room a cozy appearance, and I feel like I just entered a luxurious cabin in some line ship. A secured sarcophagus and a well-provisioned weapon rack are the only thing out of the ordinary. I love it. Wow. Welcome to my humble abode, Jimena declares proudly as a triplet of mortals lines out quickly, keeping their eyes down. Do you always travel with such arrangements? Hold on. After they're gone, Jimena locks the door, presses a rune and with a hum, magic is deployed. Any noise from the outside is cut off. Jimena lifts me into a hug. Oof. A master. You're a master. I am so damn proud. By the eye, you are full of surprises. How did it ever happen? This is quite a story. I got my hand on some Lycian essence. The Fae? How did you? Never mind, keep it secret. I drank it during my fight with Lambert and here we are. You faced Lambert? Jimena asks, suddenly serious. Where is he now? Ahem. You killed him, didn't you? Yes. I stare at Jimena with worry, but if anything she looks ecstatic. You killed Lambert. My dream. How I wish I were here to see the look of horror on his face as he turned to ash. Well done indeed. I thought killing vampires was undesirable? Jimena shrugs. In political conflicts between houses and clans, yes. It is not the case here, as you were fighting for your own survival. We are not talking about territories changing hands here, we are talking about abject servitude. If anything, the killing of a major clan's enforcer will improve your odds of forming valuable partnerships. A competent and reliable ally is worth more than gold in our circles. That is good to hear, but perhaps we are getting ahead of ourselves. I am worried about Anatole, and I will admit that I was not expecting him. Ah yes, I am sorry about this. He caught up to me as I was waiting for you. Do not worry overmuch. His honor as a knight demands that he brings you safely to Boston. I do not think much of his honor. Let me rephrase then, the perception others have of his honor matters to him. He would not try to slay you on the way, I am sure of it. It would go poorly if he tried. She smirks and lifts her arm. A weapon as dark as the void drops into her ready palm seemingly out of nowhere. One moment she is unarmed, the other, she holds a long rapier with a triangular point and a tip so thin, it could probably pierce through a sheet of steel by its own weight. The guard is delicate and small roses adorn its hilt. A scale is engraved into the hilt. It looks elegant and lethal. A soul blade. Indeed, my dear. I present to you justice, made recently with the assistance of the Cadiz smith. Beautiful. I believe congratulations are in order? For the both of us. Were it that we could celebrate properly. I am afraid we will have to wait a few months for a valid celebration. The trial will take months. Not the trial, your entrance into society. Your petition to gain house status will be conducted as soon as you are clear. You can expect the Lancasters to fight Fang and Claws to regain control over you, however. They're experts on legal matters and they simply cannot afford to make this easy for you. I need a lawyer? I have made contact with a few prospective candidates. Do not worry overmuch, you have made quite a few allies in the Lancasters, quite a few enemies. They sent Lambert because they knew they had no ground to stand on, though if we are not cautious, they could demand significant reparations. I will not let this happen. I see. So what now? Do I stay inside until we reach Boston? Of course not. It will take a bit under a week, with the mortals driving us during the day and us driving at night. Our horses are low-blood nightmares and they do not tire. You may walk around when we are encamped. The rest of the time I would recommend you always stay within sight of one of us and no matter what, never be alone with Anatole. For the rest, use common sense. I still don't understand why he hates me so. He is a Roland. Their unbreakable will sometimes makes them stubborn to the point of stupidity, and such is the case here. Anatole is, I forgive me the term, on a crusade to rid the world of everything that does not conform to his twisted version of peace and order. You also prove to be elusive and smart, a combination that is sure to infuriate him. The only good news is that he has used considerable resources to track you down without success, diverting them from more important operations. Constantine's patience is at an end and his trust in Anatole's judgment at an all-time low. You may have felt the tension in our group. It would be hard not to. The others would very much prefer to hunt dangerous rogues and the newly appeared packs of werewolves rather than spend entire nights trudging aimlessly through the back end of Illinois, I assure you. His position is weakened and that is why I am able to defy him openly. Yes, that shocked me. I did not think that someone as honorable as you would pick a fight with a superior officer. I'll pick a fight with anybody if they're being an asshole. Ah, we're moving. Come on, tell me more about that married girl you were writing about and then I will tell you about how I made Ain't my human servant. It is good to see Jimena again, and I realize as we gossip, that I am not so worried anymore. Chapter 65 The sweet sunrise paddles lazily forward across murky water as I make my way to her deck. She is rather small as steamboats go, though no less majestic for it. The novelty of this experience has not worn off yet, and I enjoy it while it lasts. Long as a barn, she has white flanks shining with fresh paint, railings, and a chimney clean to shimmering perfection. The flat bottom and broad hull make her look like a corpulent lady trudging peacefully downstream at a sedate pace. I do my best to enjoy the view as I walk leisurely along, stopping sometimes to catch a moment I may paint later. My notebook will soon be filled with sketches of the riverbanks, of the sailors and merchants, of the officers and passengers. Time slows down and I use the meditative state I am in to think. We have been rerouted and I do not know why, nor do I have any influence on our course. I am not even part of the planning. Aisha received a sending and the night squad changed course on the spot, all previous plans abandoned. When I inquired about the delay, Jimena gave me an apologetic look and the promise that the current crisis is not related to me. Knights will go where they are needed, with or without their prisoner in tow. I only wished whoever sent them off had ordered Jimena to bring me back herself. That would have been common sense, a resource that appears in short supply around those parts. I am left with nothing to do. I am bound to stay under their surveillance as I am now while they take care of travel arrangements, decide on security matters, and they plan the next operation away from my sensitive ears. My only role is to stay put and to behave. Even now, I can feel the curious gaze of Alaric, their dagger-wielding flunker, on my back. There is always someone keeping an eye on me. I am not in control of my fate. I hate feeling powerless. It does not matter that we use a trusted captain and have a security detail that a king would find adequate. When dawn presses upon my mind, I join Jimena's secured sarcophagus with the thought that I am at the mercy of men I do not know and cannot trust. It goes against all that I am and yet I do nothing. It would be unwise to act on it and so I bide my time. Any measure I could take to regain some independence now would harm my situation if I were found out. I will have to trust Jimena, and that is all I can do. With one last sigh, I finish a simple rendition of a dead trunk bent over the water, with its branches caressing the passing flow, and slammed the book closed. I turn around to the cabin from which the helmsman steers the ship and decide to join him on a whim. It would be too inappropriate for me to visit the engine room, and I do not want to sit on one of the 3 clean dresses I brought anyway. The perch from which the ship is steered will do nicely. I deftly climb the ladder up and ignore Alaric's gaze on my back and lower back. The box is small, with windows offering a clear view of the surroundings. A solemn man is at the wheel, smoking a cigar and inspecting with care the land around him. He wears a comfortable-looking and well-cut shirt, and his black beard shows traces of gray. "Excuse me, sir." The man turns and glares with a frown. I can feel his rising temper in the beat of his heart and the intake of breath, but the insults and complaints die on his lips at my demure air and pleasant smile. I am no Lady Moore, but I have never been hard on the eyes either, and few mortals could resist the benevolent attention of my kind. "And what can I do for you, miss? You're one of those folks that came aboard today, Something about an unexpected business?" "Indeed. We were set for Boston, but were waylaid." He nods in understanding and immediately returns his attention to the water before him. I cannot see any danger, but he frowns at things I do not perceive and adjusts our course with a few light touches. "The name's Gillespie, ma'am, one of the 2 pilots of the esteemed Sweet Sunrise. Pleasure having you on board. To what do I owe your unexpected visit?" The irony of a bunch of vampires traveling aboard a ship named Sweet Sunrise does not escape me, nor does the pilot's guarded tone. It appears that I have intruded upon his sanctum, and no amount of passive charm will dent his offended pride. I decide to ask the difference between helmsman and pilot later. This is my first time aboard a steamboat, and I could not help but admire all I could. "Why, I haven't seen a grander thing in my whole life!" I exclaim. That is a lie. I witnessed a millennia-old sorceress remake the fabric of the reality while sipping an infusion and throwing witty barbs. Nothing can top that. I still go on with my shameless flattery, buttering the old grouch up with thick compliments and a pinch of manipulation so that he spills his gut. Metaphorically. I am sure you have seen so much and heard so many incredible tales. Would you mind sharing a few with me, to pass the time? His caution melts like snow under a fire spell, and he puffs his chest so much that I fear he may pop buttons. Too late, I realize my mistake. The fellow's tongue is untied, the dam has been breached. A torrent of words escapes from his mouth with a southern accent I realize I had missed. "I've been on this ship for a good year, I have, and by the by, I'd say she is one of the finest old ladies to grace this river. And I know what I'm talking about. I've been at this for a score years, and the things I've seen and done, you could write a book about. Why, there is no finer pilot this side of Jackson, and I got the eyes of a cat and the mind of a fox, I do. No shallow or dark water there is that will make Andrew Gillespie lose his way, no ma'am. Not once did he glance in my direction. His gaze is always forward as he keeps us on course. We pilots have to remember all islands, reefs, sandbars and bends, yes ma'am, and they change all the time. We got to know the shape of the river like we know the shape of our wives, beg your pardon, better even. Like now at night. And here, we're in luck because the stars and moon show us the way, but when it gets dark as a Negro's bunghole, beg your pardon, then it's another thing altogether. All lines look straight, and all shadows look like snags. You think they'll grab you like a scorned lover, but no. 'Tis but shades and bluster. And that bend that looks just fine will shove a rock up the old girl's arse, beg your pardon, and cause the loss of 50 lives on a $250,000 steamboat. It will. And that's just the natural dangers we face. Tell me, laddie, do you believe in the supernatural? He affects an air of mystery, or at least tries to. I try to keep an open mind, I replied readily. Then listen here. There's more that preys on ships than just treacherous waters, there is. I got a story from my cousin who was on the ship itself when it happened. He was a mechanic, mind you. Only 18 at the time. I reckon the ship's name was the Louisa, and she could carry 150 people comfortably. Once, they were making their way to the Kellogg Plantation Pier. It was a dark night, darker than this one. A fine mist was covering the river and the land was so silent, you could hear the first mate fart from the engine room, "Beg your pardon." My cousin was off shift and he enjoyed watching the pilot work. There were two of them on the Louise like on this one. An old crusty man by the name of Knutson and a new dandy one called Lannis. Lannis was on the wheel then. He was looking out the cabin and frowning mightily. Sometimes, he would mutter and turn around to look at Benz that my cousin swore looks exactly like Benz should look like. His nervousness must have been catching, because soon enough there was a small crowd at the fore, muttering under their breaths. Out of patience, my cousin went up to Lannis to ask the poor fellow what troubled him so. "Heavens," the pilot replied, "something is damn wrong with the river tonight. Be a good boy and go fetch old Knutson, because either my brain is playing tricks on me, or there is some devilish force at work." The pilot is not heated, fully absorbed in his story. He gesticulates wildly and points at imaginary things and people with one hand, the other still firmly on the controls. Even as he speaks, his attention never wavers from the river before him. The boy was scared beyond belief. Terror gripped his heart, but he did what he was told and woke up the old grumbler who first gave him quite an earful, but when he was told of the junior pilot's words, his brow furrowed and he climbed to the bridge like a company of savages was at his heels. "Lannis, old boy," he bellowed, "where in hell did you get us to?" "Knutson, old bugger," Lannis replied, "we were abreast the Wallace Farm an hour ago, and now God only knows where we are." The old man paled and climbed to the pilot cabin, muttering in his beard furiously. He came by Lannis' side and took a gander around. Then with a great gasp, he recoiled and announced, "Lannis, my friend, no matter what happens you cannot have us flounder, you hear me? We must pull through." At his words, all the men at the fore were taken with a great fright, and they looked around to the shores but saw nothing but mist, reeds and gnarled trees with roots reaching into the water like witches' fingers. Lannis carried on with old Knutson guiding him until they came to a sharp bend to the right in the river, with what looked like really shallow waters. There was a moment of silence as the pilot guided the ship port. He reached to his tube and called his engine room, telling them to go slow and steady. He slowly turned her starboard and the measures of depth were coming like bells tolling from midnight. 13 feet, they said, Mark Twain, 11 feet, 10 feet. The men were clinging to the railings with desperation for they had never seen the old pilot scared and they knew in their heart that if they were stranded here, a cruel fate would befall them. 9 feet, they heard, 8 feet and a half. Scoresby is now screaming with enthusiasm. I hope the other passengers do not think I may be assaulting him. Then suddenly, Knutson screamed, "Now!" And Lannis grabbed the horn and yelled, "Give me all you got, damn it, full speed ahead." The chimney vomited great gouts of smoke and the paddle wheel slapped the water with great vigor. They all heard sand scraping the keel but a moment later, the ship was through. A great ovation rose to the sky and the two partners were celebrated for their skill and admirable sang-froid. Soon, the mist lifted and everyone could see a lantern to their right. The Kellogg Pier was in view, with a man sitting on a recliner who stood up and waved his hat like a flag when he saw them. Everyone started to relax and talk about that strange occurrence, and whatever happened to the river? Everyone, that is, but the two pilots. "Full speed ahead," screamed Knutson, "don't stop for anything." My cousin was terribly surprised and asked the old man what was wrong. His teeth were chattering, and hair was falling from his beard from the stress. Lannis was not much better. Cold sweat made his jacket cling to his lanky frame. The Louisa forged ahead as the passengers stared, mesmerized, and when it became clear that the ship wouldn't stop, the man on the pier threw his hat down in anger. And his eyes were black as the devil's heart. They were, not just the iris, the entire eye. Abject horror seized all aboard. They were so scared they almost suffocated, and a few of them even lost consciousness. "Fools," Knutson said, "we're not out yet." And so the pilots kept going and soon enough, the shores became normal again and they landed safely a bit later. When my cousin asked the pair how they knew it was not the Kellogg plantation, Lannis answered. "The pier was right," he said, "the man was right too, but the shore was wrong. Then old Knutson brought his partner, my cousin, and a bottle of whiskey to the mess and talked about a legend that there was a wicked man who lived on an island in the middle of the river and made his wealth stealing from passing ships. One night, the river flooded and plunged the entire island under the water. The devil took his soul then, and will only let it go if he can bring enough dead to offset the weight of his sins. And that, laddie, is why pilots are so important and why we need to know the river perfectly. I do hope we come across this interesting character. I bet he would taste nice. Thank you, sir, I feel safer now that I know we are in such good hands. Right you are, ma'am, right you are. How I wish I could stay and hear more of those outlandish tales. Perhaps there will be more time after I answer this call I just felt. The Mississippi is long and my destination unknown. I thank you for your time, Mr. Scaresby. I will leave you to your work. That was a pleasant distraction. Unfortunately, I will have to shorten it. With one last smile, I stepped down the ladder to answer the summons of my smiling jailer. The ability to feel my essence is a tremendous advantage in just about everything I can do with my powers. It is so helpful, that I have no idea how I managed without it. I can better control my aura, which is now significantly more powerful, and I am confident I will be able to hide it almost completely within a year. Healing can be directed now to specific wounds instead of just happening. I can move faster, more easily, and for a longer period of time. All that I do tires me less and I wake up earlier every day. I also noticed that charm works by sending a very thin tendril of essence to the targeted person or their aura, which means that I no longer need to imagine a rope, nor do I really need eye contact, though it helps. I cannot explain why eye contact helps. This strange logic always leaves me feeling ambivalent. The rational part of me, the one that trusts science and enlightenment, finds it all very strange. I would go so far as to say nonsensical. The deeper part understands it to a level that no words can do justice to. It remembers the fairy tales and the ghost stories, the strange rules of dusk, midnight and dawn. The power of oaths and beliefs. I am part of this realm and I know how to play the game, though I would be hard-pressed to explain exactly how, or why, it works. It is all quite peculiar. One of the side effects of an attuned essence is that one can use it to tug at another vampire. A sort of signal, if you will. I am convinced that Alaric is being, if not rude, quite cavalier in poking me so. His familiarity grates on my nerves. Good evening, Ariane. I see you found entertainment in this dreary place. Yes, until I was interrupted. I would find more entertainment by shoving my claws in his gut and pulling his innards inch by inch, but alas, he may object. And so, I show a fangless smile and keep a pleasant tone. I just need to reach Boston to be rid of those buffoons until the next turn of the century, or until someone mistakes their gaudy carriages for a bank convoy and blows it to smithereens. I would be happy either way, as surely, they would eventually let him in a lead a squad. Even the most corrupt imbecile must eventually run out of incompetent people to promote to leadership positions. Right? Good evening, Alaric. Do you require anything? Ask not what you can do for your knight, but what the knight can do for you, he says with a laugh. We are public servants of a sort, after all. This is my first real conversation with him, as so far I have only kept the company of Jimena, who has been very protective of me. I appreciate the efforts of my blood sister as I doubt Alaric has my best interests in mind. Very well then, what can you do for me? I thought I could help you pass the time. We have not properly been introduced yet. I am Alaric of the Roland, the team's shade, at your service. Alaric's voice is mellow and cultured, with a hint of British accent even when he speaks Akkad. He bows to me like a dancer after a performance. And I am Marianne of the Nirari. I assume that I do not need to introduce myself. I dare say you do. I have read the reports, not met the woman. Our only past meeting was too short and a bit too intense for my taste. What with getting your heart skewered? He affects holding his wounded heart with a convincing impersonation of a dying mortal, before returning to normal and continuing our conversation as if nothing had happened. Precisely. Lord Suarez is a prickly man where honor and duty are concerned. He often supports knights when they operate on his territory. His censure was that much unexpected and, shall we say, heavy-handed. You should be grateful. My own sire would have made an example out of you. Alaric leans against the railing and smiles disarmingly. Thankfully Anatole is not completely suicidal. So tell me, how was it, being a city master? Tending to your flock, one charm at a time. It was varied and interesting. How is it being a shade? He lifts a brow. Do you know what a shade is? I do not. I confess, somewhat miffed. Well then, allow me to enlighten you. Alaric stands straighter. In one moment, he turns from dilettante to calm professor. Even his voice has changed. Knights are expected to face any sort of situation and are trained accordingly. The formation of squads allowed us to develop a higher level of specialization, and although we are good at everything, we are experts of a few key subjects, divided by roles. The vanguard is a soldier and an assassin, a weapon expert trained to slay its targets whoever and wherever they may be. The shade is the scout and tracker who guides the team forward. The vestal is the thinker, strategist, and magic expert. Finally, the voice is the ambassador and infiltrator of the team. Does your squad not have a voice? The shade takes a mildly disapproving air, one I would expect from a mentor whose pupil asked a question he should have known the answer to. This role is Anatole's, obviously. I refrain from commenting. When your ambassador gets your entire squad ripped apart by a furious battle lord, it might be time to ask for a reassignment. Alaric takes my silence for the condemnation it is, but instead of defending his leader, he smiles knowingly and steps closer. His demeanor changes again, and I am now wondering if he should not be the infiltrator. He sheds personas like one sheds shirts. If you are looking to join our ranks, I am sure Jimena could vouch for you, though perhaps you should hold before doing it. You have never been part of our world as an equal. There is so much to discover, so many new experiences to be had. You should see the balls organized by the masks with their Byzantine codes and exquisite games. You could join a coven and live in one of our cities, be part of glorious hunts for dangerous rogues or those new packs we have seen appear. There are plays that only our kind can produce and music only we can play, and more of course. He is close now, so close that I can smell his own perfume. Similar to mine but not quite the same. The cold spice of vampires, alluring and dangerous. With a hint of vanilla and ethereal trickery. I find it enticing. Where mortals have passion, we have patience and dedication. Who but us can wait 10 years for a sculpture to be completed? Who could create gardens that will bloom in half a century? Who could learn how to make love like we do? Who could hold such grudges? Ha! You will find that it is rarely so. The enemies of today are the friends of tomorrow, sometimes. Only the Rolands keep grudges for centuries, I believe. Like Anatole and you then. Just my luck. I hold no grudge towards you. I swore an oath to uphold the code, and I have no doubt that you will gain your freedom after we reach Boston. Then who knows, ancient enmities could disappear in favor of more pleasant arrangements. Such as those you mentioned previously, I suppose. Music? Of course. The shade's smile is roguish and handsome. I am quite sure he thinks highly of himself and that some may swoon in his presence. Are you good at music, Alaric? You will find that my reputation precedes me. He is so close now. I could lean a bit and kiss him. I have a reputation too, for surviving. A well-deserved one. It would be because I know who I can place my trust in, I say as I place a finger on his lips. I am not done. You follow a man who wants my death and forced me into 20 years of isolation. I will see the balls and hear the songs, and perhaps when I am done, we will all meet again. I smile and show 8 fangs, just to remind him of who he is talking to. And share that hunt you mentioned. The knight's smile freezes, then blooms again. He looks almost impressed. I will look forward to it. It is then that our ship reaches a stop, and the moment is gone. We part and watch the sweet sunrise attached to a small pier and goods and people making their way in and out. Alaric watches with attention and I find no reason to break the silence. 5 minutes later, a cabin boy comes running and stops when he spots the two of us. I can taste a trace of terror in the air before his rational mind silences his instincts. He approaches, swallows with difficulty and stands at attention. "Yes?" I asked curtly. "Excuse me, madam, are you Rari? How curious." "I am. That's the thing." He licks his lips nervously. "There is this Indian outside, says he knows you. Says he knew you'd pass by and that you two should talk. Should I tell him off? An Indian who knew where I would pass? Could it be? Did he tell you his name?" "Yes, ma'am. He said his name was Nashoba." "Nashoba, so you were alive all this time. Incredible. I must speak to him, I may not have another chance. I will see him immediately." "Where is he?" "At the pier, madam." I pick a coin from my pocket and toss it at the urchin. Double payday for that little twerp, for there is no doubt in my mind that Nashoba bribed him as well to carry this message. I am half expecting Alaric to stop me, as Anatole would have. Instead, he follows me behind and to my right, as if he were escorting instead of guarding. I would be grateful, but I highly suspect that curiosity got the better of him. My steps take me down the now empty plank as I take in my old friend. We have not kept in touch, though he could have contacted me by dreams. I was wondering if he had perished, and now I realize that perhaps he simply didn't have the strength. Nashoba is dying. He is still handsome in a lost artist sort of way. He still has liquid brown eyes and mismatched cloth that reveal skin. There is gray in his hair and his hairline receded, but that only would make him look wiser if it were not for the rest. His skin is sallow, with a yellow tinge. It clings to his frame too tightly and his posture is slightly stooped, like someone who is in constant pain. He smiles before he turns to me and I am surprised once again when I realize that he came alone. "Nashoba. We meet again, daughter of Thurin and Hunger." Behind me, Alaric hisses softly when he hears the tongue of a kid and a mortal mouth. He does not react further, and I decide that it is safe to speak, for now. "I did not know if you were still around." "I met some fallen tribesmen." "Yes, they went north, did they not? We left in waves after the white men took the last of our lands and set us on the trail of tears and death. One of the waves was lost in the swamps and you know the rest. My new home is west of here now. We just settled. I had heard your people had been exiled, but we were. You will have to remember that for we mortals, oaths are only binding among equals. Oh, I will not forget that lesson ever again." He bows his head slightly and gives me a sad smile. Yes. Dalton's loss must weigh heavily on a mind that does not age. My apologies. No harm done, my friend. Now, I assume this is not a courtesy visit. My tone may have been a little more abrupt than I intended and Nashoba notices it. "No, indeed. Are you displeased to see me?" "No," I add with regret, "I just wished it had been sooner. I just exposed my friendship with Nashoba before Alaric when I confessed I missed him. This was a mistake. I am being careless again. Forgive me, it took all my strength to delay the inevitable and then manage it. This is the most terrible ordeal my people have ever faced. I had no time for myself nor for my friends. And now, I must apologize, for I come asking you for a favor, as you have guessed. My hands are bound now, but perhaps there is something I can do. Tell me. I would like you to help me die." "Heh? I beg your pardon." Nashoba smiles once more and his posture conveys so much vulnerability that even my instincts are silent. There is no hunt to be had there. He is as defenseless and weak as a child. "You have noticed my failing health. I am in constant pain. I want you to help me on my final journey. Please." "What is going on here?" says a voice that tightens my chest. "Anatole is here without a minute. This is the worst thing that could have happened." "Who is this man?" "He is a supplicant, come here for the last gift," answers Alaric. "He asked for her by name." "They know each other." "Do they now?" "Do you speak English, savage?" "Probably better than you, pretender." Nashoba answers sharply. Anatole's face is a mask of horror, then it twists into a scowl of deep hatred. His aura overflows, and I shiver at the cruelty I perceive beneath. I have no idea what is happening, I only know that I must not let Nashoba be hurt by what may follow. If you wish for the last gift, I will gladly provide it, says Anatole with a sinister smile. Intruder. Thief. You dare? The last gift is sacred, you Philistine. I hiss. I decide what you take, creature. Kill him. No, wait, no, I need to beat him through words, but how? Think, Ariane, think. What can I trade for? Ah yes, his pride. I need to play this well. I remember Lady Moore and her demeanor, her poison haughty expression that made anyone feel like insects polluting her air. I do my best impersonation, and though I know I fall short, the cold in my voice surprises even me. I did not imagine that a squad leader would stoop so low as to steal his captive's leftovers and deny her nourishment. What is next, O mighty one? Will you borrow my spare boots too? My aura is frigid. It spreads over the pier like a blanket of ice. Anatole frowns. Taking Nashoba now would go against his vow to keep me well fed as well as common courtesy. Alaric's eyes narrow at his leader, and his crossed arms show mild disapproval, something that his squad has refrained from showing so far. I hope it is enough. How I wish my blood sister were here instead of the cabin with Aisha and the axeman, Alec. If you must, I will allow you to draw from his sickly essence. We will keep watch, of course. Do not try anything. Oh, this brute. The last gift is sacred, and he is going to police it. I clamp my jaw before I say anything I might regret. Nashoba was unwise to provoke this fiend, though I know why he did it anyway, despite the danger. My friend is scared. Scared, and in pain. I wish I had more time to talk to him. I can tell that the burden in his shoulder is heavy. In a way, death is a mercy. I take the shaman in my arms. He winces in pain until our eyes meet. Gently, I charm the pain away. I smother it and shove it in the background where it can be ignored. Nashoba takes one shuddering breath and almost collapses. Tears of relief drip down his pallid cheeks. Are you ready? I ask softly. I was ready before coming, you know, because I can see the future, I finish with a smile. I gently take his neck as he eases his head back. I bite down. I take the rope and tie it to my neck. I left my shirt and other things on a stone. That way, they will know what I have done and maybe little sister can get a spare shirt. I am strange. The others don't like it. They call me Cloudhead. Now they are bullying little sister too, because she is my sister. I will die now and everyone will be better. Me too. I hope. I pick the stone and walk forward, but something bumps against me. I look down. There is a big turtle. She bumps my leg with her tiny head. Hello, I say. The dream vision is so clear. I am a shaman now, bound to the turtle spirit. She is enduring and smart, though she is slow too. She values vision and planning because when it takes so long to walk anywhere, you cannot afford to do the trip twice. The one I foresaw is here, she's here. She is an Anglo girl, and her mind is cold like a midwinter night. She is lost, I can tell, like me. She cautiously steps out in the open and sniffs the air. Quick, I will present my offering, my blood. I hope we can be good friends. Dalton is dead and this part of my life is gone. Ariane, daughter of Thurin and Hunger, leaves. It will take a long time for her to earn this moniker, but I am confident that she will one day, long after I have passed. With the earrings I gave her, her foe's feeble tracking attempts will fail. I wish I could see her again before our last meeting, though I fear I will not have the strength to spare for a dream visit. They invited us as Dancing Rabbit Creek, and some of us went expecting a party. I knew what was coming, but there was nothing I could do. Our land is claimed by the United States. To stay, we will have to become citizens. I have seen what befalls those who are not of their race, and though some of us will stay, they will just suffer longer. Leaving remains the most pragmatic choice. I am sick and tired. The ache in my liver is now a constant pain that permeates everything I do. I am reaching the end of my path and my tribe will survive in Oklahoma, the land of the red people. There is only one thing left to do before I can finally rest. I have to give her the key so that she may grow into what will give this world a chance. I must strengthen her gift. Then, I can finally sleep. At long last. I am so very tired. It is done. I pull back and cradle Nashoba's unmoving shell. He is dead. We have known each other for 30 years and we haven't talked in 20 and now the chance is gone. Time caught up to him like it caught up to my father and others. I feel brittle. I can find no other word for it. Beyond sadness, I am overwhelmed by a sense of vulnerability that does not affect my body but my spirit. This is one more anchor to my human part one leave behind. I slowly lay the body on the ground. Once more, I wonder how someone could look at a corpse and think the person is asleep. The mouth is open, distended, and the vitality is gone from its muscles. My friend has passed and what he left behind is a painfully thin flesh puppet. It already stinks of relaxed bowels and soon, rot. There is no dignity in death. My kind is lucky to leave only ash behind. I jump in surprise when Anatole grabs the body by the ankle, and starts dragging it towards the boat. What are you doing? I hiss in anger. Anatole turns to me with a smirk. Taking out the trash. And with a lazy swing, he drops the corpse into the river. No. You heathen. How dare you? Defiler. I move forward, have to recover the body but something holds me back. Alaric, I realize, has grabbed me under the arms and lifted me up so that my feet cannot find purchase. Why would you do that? He was my friend. I am not surprised that a bumpkin like you would befriend a barbarian. You dare. Calm down, Ariane, says a voice from behind, this is just a husk. It's not about the husk, it's about respect for the dead. It's about us, and what value we place on the departed. How can you do this? Anatole's cruel smile widens. He is most amused. Kill him now. That's it, I am done with those idiots. I will do no such thing. I stop struggling and let the coldest part of me smother my heart before it can kill me. This is what Anatole wants, one more trap to force my hand into resisting him. He knows the game is almost over. Now he resorts to dirty tricks in a last-ditch effort to execute me before the journey ends. I can play that game too. Release me, I ask Alaric with a soft voice, and he does. I glare at Anatole and slowly, painfully, force myself to smile too. Corpse defiling now, Anatole. You are a failure of a knight and a leader. You are no hero, you only have the appearance of one. Nashoba was right, you are just a pretender. The word bites deep, deeper than I thought they would. He takes a step forward and his claw-tipped hands spread with animalistic fury. Oh, yes, you hypocrite, I can sting too. Bring her back on board and confine her to her quarters. Anatole says with a voice strained with anger. I dodge Alaric's hand on my way up. The shaman's body has disappeared in the current and it is too late for me to do anything about it. One more debt to be repaid. The future is uncertain. Revenge isn't. When I am ready, I will find this man and kill him myself. I will add his essence to my garden and every night for a year, I shall pass by his kneeling statue and repeat the word that wounded his pride. Pretender. Tobe continued. Thanks for listening.